Overlook Podcast. I'm with Craig Sager. We're here to talk about GHSA playoffs from round two. A lot to talk about some big results. We're going to talk about our standout performance. Look ahead to the quarterfinals. Also, going to talk about college football, the Georgia Tech Georgia Fair, about that rivalry we've been playing this weekend, actually. Then we'll continue NFL action with Craig. How you feeling today?
Doing good. Big quarterfinal matches coming up this week. I think some of them almost look like state championship matchups. So the stakes are high. I'm excited for it.
You and me both. You and me both. And let's go ahead and recap what happened last week. I think the biggest one for me, it definitely has to be the Rome one, 42-14. I think you brought up a great point, Craig. Just uncharacteristic, just felt like they were out of sync the whole game. 42-14 win, 28-0 first quarter. I think that definitely said a lot of just they were in rhythm. They come out scoring. Nice throw from Reese Fountain to hit his receiver. They get the big hit on the punt. And then next thing you know, man, they're just rolling. And then, next thing he was struggling a little bit with this special teams and everything. But just what's your thoughts on that game?
Yeah. So the first quarter by Hughes, I said on the show, I thought that was the worst first quarter I've seen any team play. I credit Prentice Nolan. He got his team back in there, got them focused. They were frustrated. Just the uncharacteristic mistakes, the miscues on special teams, things weren't going their way. They came back. Prentice was trying to make his plays, but then they had so many turnovers. You look at Prentice in his career, he probably had more interceptions in that game than like the last two seasons. And so the receivers, they just weren't, I don't know, the rhythm was just a little off. And then defensively, they struggled to stop Rome. Obviously, the first quarter, the big play to K. Daniels, that kind of put them on their heels a little bit. But I credit Rome a lot. They obviously really wanted that win. They got blown out last year. They showed a lot of pride, and they have another tough matchup against Thomas County Central. So it doesn't get any easier. People talk about their schedule not being that difficult, but they did play Carrollton earlier this year. They just beat Hughes, and if they can show up and pull something out against Thomas County Central, I think that'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what was their defense is really good. I think it's the best it's been in the last probably 5 years or so for Rome, and I think they're able to fly solid and sideline with Jaden Harmon, who does a really good job in coverage and coming downhill, and you got a really good presence in the interior of the defensive line and Justin Terrell, and as you said, their best player defensively, Joe Wilkinson, and you could probably attest to it. You was there, Craig. You see him in person. You told a couple people to watch out for him. Just being on the field and seeing him, what did you just see? I mean, when I seen him earlier this year at the Corky K, I was just amazed with just his sideline speed, his ability to play coverage well, and just big hit ability. But what stands out about his game?
Yeah, he's safety for Rome, and I think what's so great about that Rome defense. I mean, up front, those guys are dogs on that defensive line, and then Jaden Harmon. I mean, that's a superstar linebacker, 4-star, one of the highest rated guys. So they have incredible talent back there at every level. But with Joe, he's just a downhill hitting machine. Um, Rome doesn't have stats updated for the season, but he obviously won Defensive Player of the Game against Cass in the opener. You talked to him; he had a big pick six. A couple weeks later, I think like a 90-yarder. He's making tons of plays. He's all over the field, really physical, and he won Region Defensive Player of the Year for a reason.
Yeah, he did. And I think the biggest standout too with this defense and last point is just I think they have an elite person on each level of the defense, right? Linebacker, defensive line, and then at the safety position. So I think that's what makes them so special, man. And they're gonna be a team to definitely watch going forward. And as you said, it doesn't get any easier. They have to play Thomas County Central. So
Yep. I think the big key on that one, and one of the biggest weak points, I think, with this Rome team is no disrespect to them. They've struggled in the red zone. When they played Carrollton, they were 1 of 4 in red zone. I thought Reese Fountain did a much better against Hughes. He had a good rushing touchdown. He's going to have to do that. He's going to have to make plays with his legs, have that threat, and then the running backs are going to have to step up. Thomas County Central, they gave up 6 points last week, and I was almost surprised. I'm that used to seeing them shut out their opponents. So they're going to be able to move the ball, but it's the red zone. That's going to be the key against Thomas County Central 100%.
100% agree. I think result was Woodward Academy's 27-7 win against Houston County. They went up 17-0 on that one early. Griffin Marshall had it going. And then they also had Lucas Ferretti with a 22-yard touchdown. So I think for me, just them being able to kind of slow down the offense, that's kind of been, that team has been predicated on just offense led by the offense all season. The defense would be good in spots and things like that. But I mean, to hold them to 7 points, I think says a lot for Warwood Academy, just how well they're playing right now. And I think their defense is on another level, and I think it's going to be really intriguing because they got coming up next. They got Gainesville, so I think that's going to be an intriguing matchup, better than what most people think. And I just think they're playing some complete football right now.
That's right. And what makes Houston County so good? It's their receivers in the screen game and their ability after the catch for Woodward to throttle them down, not give up big plays. That's huge. And then trying to stop Gainesville. It's just all going to be through Gavin Hall. He came out against BT. I wish I could find the clip. I'm still working on it. Got to go through Huddle and the coaches, but they said he made one of the best one-handed grabs to open the game, had 4 touchdowns. He's going to be the guy that they have to stop, 100%. He's strong. He's versatile. He went from quarterback. He really does remind me of Christian McCaffrey, just elite speed, tough with the football in his hands, and can provide the versatility with the incredible catches. He had a great one-hander against Alpharetta in their scrimmage. He's been doing it all season long.
100%. A great point. And they're going to have to bring their caps ready because he's going to be able to beat you downhill. And then once you sleep on him in a running game, or you can get beat, in the passing game too, because he's pretty good out the backfield as well.
Yeah, he's got great vision. It's funny. I was talking to Kyle Vaca this week, and he played in an all-star game. It wasn't the Georgia Elite. It was another one, I think the GHSA one. And that was when, I think it was last year when Gavin was a quarterback, and he said the first play of the game, Gavin took it 80 yards. Wow. Kyle said, maybe I'm not going to get the ball, but that's just how good Gavin is running the football. I mean, He played quarterback, looked at his numbers last year, just a tremendous athlete. So that's the key. Woodward's got a great defense, holding Jonesboro just 6 points. No, who'd they play last week?
Woodward?
Yeah.
Woodward played
sorry, that wasn't Jonesboro. Thomas County Central held them.
Yeah.
Let me fix that real quick. Got ahead of myself. Yeah, Houston County. My bad. Yeah, holding them to.
A week before, right?
Yeah, 7 points, 27-7. Yep. Yeah, I mean that's impressive.
Yeah, it is really impressive. Okay, Craig, I'll let you go lead this one. What's another standout for you?
For me, I think it's Cass. There's a big storyline in Class 5A right now, and it's Brody McWhorter. It's their quarterback. I mean, he's rising up to the moment. They're on a Cinderella run, the number 4 seed coming out of that division, and I just think they have a lot of great two-way players. They have the X factor with Sokovie White, a guy that I think is pretty much unguardable. And then if Brody is distributing the football and that defense continues to play like they have, I think Cass can continue to keep their season alive.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of mine too, just a 7-7 win, big-time game from Devin Henderson. He had a 30-yard rushing touchdown and an interception. I think their ability to be able to kind of stifle teams, right? They're doing pretty good in the playoffs defensively, I think, and they're playing some good complementary football. But, yeah, that's a big win. It's not easy going on the road to beat a really good Mays team. So, like you said, they're humming right now. It doesn't get any easier. Obviously, they got a tough match. They got to play Coffee, but they are in the right way. And as you said, the X factor right now is Brody McWhorter, who we both are. When we seen them against Cartersville, we thought it was won. They played really good and competitive. Just some things didn't go their way, but we felt like with the game on the line, he should have the ball. And I think that's what he's building his I think he's building that, and I think he's showing them, hey, and I got the keys to the car, and I'm gonna take us there where we need to be.
Yeah, he's very mobile. He's been having a great postseason with his ability to run, and then I think they've just been producing a lot of turnovers defensively. Sokovie's back there. Devin Henderson's back there. They have the ability to produce those takeaways. They've been doing it the last few rounds, obviously against Kell also. So I think just the turnovers and then the solid play from Brody, they have had a great run, and I certainly think they're a tough matchup for anyone remaining. But 5A is shaping up to be very interesting. I thought Warner Robins also had a very dramatic victory over Ware County, their team that I don't know if they've hit their stride yet, but they've had some last-minute victories. And any team that's battle-tested like that, that's been in the finals year after year, it'd be interesting to see what they do this year.
That was such a back-and-forth game, and I think I've seen someone talk about it and just the rivalry that's brewing between those two teams. Well, obviously, Warner Robins, Ware County, 3 straight years meeting in the playoffs. right? Last year was for it all. Obviously, Ware County won that one. But I agree. I think that was a big win for them. They were down 21-20 with less than a minute left. A minute left, they had scored, and they were able to go down, get in field goal range, and Albert Medina hits the game winner, 42 yards. Again, I know people look 42 yards, it's not that far. I mean, in the high school landscape of it, that's not easy to do, especially to win the game and punch your ticket to the next round. So shout out to Warner Robins. I mean, that was an incredible back and forth game between those two.
That's clutch. And let's stick with 5A. I want to ask you, because you saw Statesboro play, what do you think of Harris County having a big win over Statesboro and kind of the season they've had?
You actually brought up a great point. Actually, that was going to be one of my standouts. Harris County. I think they're underrated. I think they're having a good season. Their quarterback has been playing magnificent. He only had 4 incompletions in their last game. Very efficient, 4 touchdowns. I think they're a team you can't sleep on, right? They can run the ball and they can also throw it. And I think they're very physical as well on the defensive side of the ball, and they're going to make it tough for you. And I think the thing with Statesboro is they did really, really well against Tucker because of just the offensive game planning and scheme that they had. You know, they could tell the over pursuit of Tucker. That's the game I called. And they kind of worked it against them, right? And I think Harris County was just a more maybe complete football team possibly than Tucker was. And Tucker was missing a lot of their weapons. It was missing C.J. Jackson. It was missing different pieces. The quarterback got hurt. So I think Harris County is a more complete football team. And I think this matchup against Jefferson, a lot of people aren't talking about it, but I think it's going to be interesting. Now, they're going to be going up against the mammoth, the behemoth, and the just all world player. You brought up a great point yesterday. You think he's going to be a first ballot Georgia High School Football Hall of Famer, and I agree with you. Different test this week, so they're gonna have to bring their hard hat and be ready to tackle Sammy Brown because he could do a little bit of everything. But I just love the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, really interesting matchup. And then, so we talked about that. Then Creekside, Warner Robins. I mean,
Ooh.
that's a big book. But the other, I'd say, big results. I mean, Mill Creek. What you said yesterday, the fact that they replaced all those star players from last year's team, where everyone said, "Oh, well, the reason they won was because A, B, C, and D. These guys are incredible." I mean, they're undefeated right now. They're playing great on both sides of the ball. They haven't made any mistakes this year. Just they're playing outstanding. And then Cam Robinson, he has only played running back 2 seasons, and he's already Mill Creek's all-time leading rusher. That is how important he's been these last few weeks. He's been unstoppable, and we point out guys like Sammy Brown. They got the breakaway speed. Cam Robinson is just like a complete back. The same where he can make a guy miss in a phone booth. That's him, but he's also physical, and he's just been a touchdown machine. I think he's had like 9 100-plus games. He can take 30 carries if they need to, or just 20. So I think Cam Robinson, man, he's been outstanding this season and definitely an MVP on that team. And they continue to roll.
My last result is Jenkins' big victory, 28-7 over Dutchtown. We know how good Dutchtown is. Most gets his 50th career victory. And I think we should talk about just their run, right? Obviously, they started as a 4 seed, was able to go on a roll, beat the region champion in Arabia Mountain, and then go on a roll and beat Dutchtown, a really good sound football team that can throw in, can run it, really good players on both sides of the ball. So then we got to give Jenkins some love. That really stood out to me, just them playing a complete package of football and just, going in, and not a lot of people talking about them either in 5A, but they're doing the thing.
Yeah. In terms of a Cinderella run, I think they definitely even more impressive than Cash. It's a team that not a lot of that was going to be able to make that much noise. 2 one-point wins in a row against some talented competition. That's huge. They're going to play Cartersville this week. You're going to have a 4-quarter effort. You're going to have to do it in all 3 phases and try to produce some turnovers. But I like the way they've definitely handled the tough situations and just the final minutes of the game being able to close out clutch wins.
100%. And that's it for our results, guys. We're going to move to our next segment, quarterfinal matches. We're going to give you guys a preview if you don't know about these matches that we are most looking forward to. We touched on a couple of them really quick, but we're going to go in more depth and more detail. But, Craig, you know the one I'm salivating over, and it's unbelievable. It's not on TV. It will be on Fitness Network, but it's not on time. But, hey, Buford, Grayson, I'm actually going to be writing a daily dive on this, and it got to be said. Do you know these teams are combined for over, I think it's close to nearly 20 championships combined?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane. And then Buford last one in 2021, and Grayson last one in 2020. So I'm just excited, right? I said on both sides of the ball what I thought, just the matchups, right? Like, Grayson can run the ball with Dylan Elder and Anthony Austin, right? Or Austin. Um, and then they can also throw it, right? They got Colin Fox, who's just a mismatch. So it's going to be I think it's going to be an interesting chess match, right? To see what they're going to do defensively for Buford and what they're going to do offensively for Grayson. And you mentioned Jeff Davis and him just maturing and being able to play at a high level. And the thing about Grayson is I feel like they can beat you in a lot of ways, right? They can beat you through the air or they can beat you on the ground. And they don't ask Davis to do too much, all within the complement of the offense. So I think that's been incredible for them this season. I think they got a really great team. Like I said, John Cenas is another player that they can just beat you deep. He can take, them short little hitches and short routes, screens, and make big plays with them. Still got Alexander Sanchez. And then defensively, right, we know, what Buford's known for, right? They want to run the football. They got Tyler Atkinson. This Grayson team's physical.
So Tyler Atkinson, man.
I mean, he's next level. We won the player of the game when we had the Archer game. You cannot go silent against Grayson. They're just too fast, man. You're going to have to try to beat them deep. You have to try to beat them on some big plays. So I think it's going to be an interesting chess match. And then you got another more player in the country in Dylan Raiola. So it's like he's already been there. He's been through the big games, right? He's played at a high level, right? This one right here, though, I think is one of the best matchups in the state.
Yeah, for all those reasons. And I'll add another one. Centavius Bryant, probably the youngest head coach in the state.
28.
Yeah, his first year. You have new coordinators, a new coach, and then the big question this season by Grayson, the quarterback position. Jeff Davis has provided that. Yeah. He's getting better each week. Yeah. 16 of 19 last week against North Paulding, a team that returned pretty much all of their defensive players. We saw them play great against Harrison. They played Walton very tough. They got Javarius George. So I think the key for me, I think Dylan Elder's health. How many carries is he going to be able to take? Can he balance out that Grayson offense? And then I think if he's able to do that, you're going to see a balanced offensive effort. But I just give credit to Grayson, new coaching staff. I feel like the team's really come together. They had some tough losses early. The one to Walton definitely pissed them off. The one to open region play definitely pissed them off. And so they aren't going to go into this necessarily overconfident, but I do think that they know that they're a team that can bounce back, and they've been in the situations, they've corrected mistakes, and they've grown throughout the season.
Yeah, they have. And up a great point. Appreciate down below. Make sure the people that are watching you like, comment, subscribe. Throw some questions in the question box you want us to answer as well. But I agree with him. It's the first ever matchup. I was telling Craig last year, I was like, this is a matchup, you know what I'm saying, that I would love to see like regular season, right? But now we get it with all the marbles, right? In the playoffs, it doesn't get much better than that. 2-story programs, right? Grayson, has been, a story program for a little while now. Buford, we know what they've done in state championships in 5A, 6A, 4A, 3A consistently, right? It don't get much better than this, right? And it's going to be who makes the plays when you need it the most, right? And it's going to come who takes care of the football. And I think it's going to really be a coaching game. And I love the offensive coordinator for Grayson. They do a great job in special teams and things like that. That's another aspect of the game we got to watch for, special teams. The field position battle is going to be critical in this game as well. It's just so many storylines you can go on. KJ Bolden, who's a 5-star player, is he going to guard Colin Fox a little bit? What kind of defense will they run? We know how good their front seven is for Buford, but we know they can be attacked in the secondary at the corner spots. It's just intriguing.
It's going to be physical, and then just the battle in the trenches. I think Dylan Raiola in this game, I mean, his receivers are going to have to step up. He can extend plays. Yep. He's going to have to really show why he's the top player in the country against this Grayson defense that, as you said, the way they can fly sideline to sideline, the way they can cover the deep ball, and then Tyler Atkinson, you can dial him up at any time. He gets off box. He gets skinny, as you say, a very valuable trait. And then he's a tackling machine.
100% agree with that. 100%. That's going to be an intriguing one. Another big one is going to be on GPB, Milton and Colquitt County. So, Craig, I'm going to start with you instead of me starting. What do you think of that game, and what's your thoughts on, first, what does Milton need to do to come out with a victory? And Colquitt obviously dealt with the injury with Nico Fan. What do you need to do to come out on the road and get that dub?
I think Milton's been really hot lately. Once the region started, they just kick it into a different gear. I think the key is going to be that defensive line that you give a lot of credit to with Milton. They've got a ton of different pass rushers. Pancake Hunter stepped up, the freshman phenom. They're going to have to get after that Colquitt passing attack. Nico Fan's been banged up in recent weeks. I think he did struggle a little bit this last week. Said the timing was off a little bit. It's a leg injury, so I think they just got to dial up the pressure. Offensively, it's been about finding the run. We know Luke Nichols the real deal. The receivers are great. They got a big tight end, but I think it's going to be what Lester. They're
TJ Lester. I
TJ
mean,
Lester.
Amari Anderson.
That's right.
Yep.
I mean, those guys are going to have to realize. I mean, in Colquitt County, you're going to have to go down there and run the football. You're going to have to establish it. It's going to be a big test for their offensive line too, but that's how you beat them. That's how Carrollton beat them last year. Bryce Hicks taking 28 carries. Someone's going to have to step up. It's going to be tough, but that's a tremendous matchup, and Milton is fortunate to get home field in that one. I thought it was payback from last year when the GHSA ruled their stadium wasn't big enough and they had to move their Mill Creek game to McEachern and play it early in a doubleheader. They lucked out this time. They don't have to go down to Colquitt, so that's a huge advantage. You have to take it.
I kind of get in a way why they put it on TV too. A lot of people are like, why they didn't do the Walton, Carrollton, and Buford Grayson? And I think it's because we don't always show South Georgia. So I'm thinking that's probably the rationale for it, putting them on TV, giving them that exposure. And I think, man, I think it's going to be a great game, right? I think, as you said, Milton got to establish the run, right? We know what they can do in a passing game, but you got to keep the defense honest, right? You don't want to be, in that game. So I think Milton got to come in, establish the run, get it going with Amari Anderson. Obviously, TJ Lester was a starter. And then Luke Nichols, just let him cook. I think he's going to be able to have a pretty decent game. I think, he can hit all level of throws. I told you how impressed I was when I seen him scrimmage against Gainesville right before the season started. The offense finally got going. They gave me and you both at against Roswell. I think that they got the pieces in order to do it. They got all the weapons, right? Ryan Hughes, the Arbor commit, Bron Gatlin, CJ Wiley, who's a heavily recruited player. Still got Mark Esley, who's underrated. They got some guys that can come at you. And I think defensively, you know who my X factor is? Obviously, Pancake Hunter is good. My X factor is AJ Bitten. No one talks about him.
Right.
I talked about him last week on the show.
Linebacker.
A beast linebacker. They're going to need him. Kind of, 7 to 10 tackle game. They got him. They got Ja'Cory Stewart, and they got Jack Lawson. So they got a pretty good three-headed linebacking core as well. And they got 2 elite corners who are actually committed to Tennessee as well. So it's going to be an intriguing game. They're going to have to come to play. I believe in, told you early in the season, they're my dark horse. I think they come on top of this one.
Yep. Incredible coaches on both sidelines, too. And it's going to be a great matchup. I want to talk about the other game, though. Carrollton and Walton.
Let's do it.
This is the closest game, according to the Maxwell. Carrollton's just a 1-point favorite. I have a poll out. It was 50-50 last time I checked, and it doesn't get much better than this. I think these are the 2 most talented passing offenses, I think, in the state right now. And that's saying something because obviously you look at Milton with Luke Nickel, you look at Jake Merklinger, there's a lot of good ones, but the depth, the speed, it's just next level. I mean, these offenses with Juju Lewis and Jeremy Hecklinski, it's going to be insane.
It is going to be insane. And I think you brought up some good points. You talked to Coach Bruner, and he's asking him about the team and just kind of how some of those games help mold them to who they are. I obviously talked to Cam Lloyd earlier in the season as well. But one point I want to bring back, Craig, that you brought up that was excellent was you wanted to see, could the offense of Walton, was it going to be big play like last year, or could they go methodically down the field and be surgical? And we found that out week 1, right? We found out that they can do that. And I think that's the difference with this team, right? I think they can go on a 10-play drive. They can kill you with either running the football with Makari Potterford, or they can go get the ball to Hunter Till, Cam Lloyd, and now Wyatt Sundom is back as well. So they got all their pieces. And I think the key is that game early on for Dawson and Carrollton, defensive game, right? If Walton can do that, and their defense, we know that it's a lot better, right? Eloy Ogukwe, right? Wendell Gregory, Jordan Van Bry. If they can go in and get the key stops early in the game and get this offense more possessions to 3 and outs, causing turnovers, you feel like you like your chances. And then you got big play threats in Solomon, who averaged 20 yards a catch. Cam Lloyd, who can take any screen play and go deep. His speed on the outside. It's a lot of things you got to kind of account for. So I think, man, as you said, it's going to be an intriguing game. It's going to be on PC Sports Network. You guys can go check it out there. Go anywhere on your Roku TV, your Fire TV, type in Atlanta News First, go to special events, right there, watch it right on your TV. Craig will be there in attendance, and there will also be a pregame show, so adding a different element. But I agree. I went on a tangent there, but I mean, I can't wait. This is exciting. This is the get back. You see, I went to Hoover, so I mean, and they said like, obviously it means a little more. Like they knocked them out last year, so this is the game. Somebody's not going to be happy going out early in the quarterfinals. Somebody's going to be in the semi year. So I think it's intriguing.
Yeah, everything's on the line.
Yeah.
I think Caleb Odom is the biggest mismatch, probably most talented receiver / tight end in the state. There's no doubt about it. Saw the play he made at the end of that Rome game, takes the contact, makes an acrobatic catch, lands on his feet, bowls his way into the end zone. He is unguardable in single coverage. No offense to Walton. It's going to be a team effort in that secondary.
Yes.
You aren't going to be able to guard that one-on-one. He's 6'6". He's an absolute freak. So I think trying to use that physicality up front with Agokwe, he's had a tremendous season. They're so
Underrated.
so talented in the trenches. Wendell Gregory, they're physical, but it's about Caleb Odom. I mean, when they get into the red zone situation, they can just throw it up to him. And more often than not, he's going to come down with it. He's that good, that impressive. And then Juju has just been rock solid all season long. I think Cam Lloyd, though, on that Walton offense, the season he's had, his ability to get open, if you don't pay attention to where he is on the field, Jeremy Hecklinski will find him 100%. He knows where he is, and he's just so fast. And it's quickness. It's not just speed. He has it in the breakaway, but he is quick. His routes aren't conventional. He's just going to be streaking across the field. And Hecklinski, if you don't bring the heat on him and try to get the ball out of his hands quickly, he will make you pay.
Yeah, and shout out to Kendall Farmer, the running back that came in and stepped up as a sophomore for Carrollton's been big all season with the injury to Bryce Hicks. He's been having a phenomenal year, so I wanted to give him a shout out as well. And Alex, obviously, Coach Joey King as well. But we got some comments, so we're going to respond. So they said, what do you think about the Roswell versus Marist game? My quick thoughts is I'm rolling with Roswell. Marist can run the football well. They're having a phenomenal season. The quarterback's been doing great. I like their running back, Jackson Hughes. I like Luke Harping as well. But I think they have the defensive front in line to kind of pose a couple problems for Marist. Obviously, they put up 41 in their last game and did great. But the key X factor for me is going to be KJ Smith. I think they're going to have a big game. And obviously, another big player, Dylan Williams, broke their school record for the most receiving touchdowns in the 14. So shout out to Dylan Williams as well for his performance this season. But I think they just have a little too much, right? They got Nakai Davenport, who doesn't get talked about enough. He's had another 1,000-yard season. Got Saquon Smith, that you can use also in the backfield in the receiving game. And you got Dylan Williams, can go get that 50-50 ball. Talented receiver. They got just a bunch of guys that come at you. And the defensive line led by Chase Morrison is really, really good. I'm rolling with Roswell on that one.
Yep. It 100% is going to come down to KJ Smith finding his targets. Dylan Williams has been incredible all season long. The catches he makes are next level. And then you have Saquon Smith. I think Roswell's just more athletic at the skill positions. They'll be able to win those matchups. But then it's about Marist, their defense up front, and just the way they play together as a team. They're on the same page. And that's what makes them so tough. Make mistakes, and so they're just going to have to protect the football.
Yep.
And it's going to come down to just smart decision making from KJ.
100%. Before we go to our next ones, want to give a shout out. Thanks to Jimmy for tuning in. We are going to try, but we don't make decisions in the games we go to. We do try to advocate for certain games, but definitely we know Carver Columbus has been very, very good this year. And we're going to talk about that matchup they play against Monmouth area in a little bit, but that would be kind of cool to come down there and do a game and see them up close and personal. I know you guys have a really talented team. I broke it down last Thursday. Love you guys. Love watching you guys. I've been keeping my eye out now, so trying to cover that area a little bit more than just up north. But the other one, let's talk about one. I mean, so many, Craig. I mean, one of Roberts Creek side. I mean, that's a good game as well, right? That's the rematch of last year's semifinals. I think that's really, really intriguing. We know they can run the ball well, right? Roger McCray had over 200 yards rushing last game, along with Travis Rowe had 100+ yards, right? Vincent Berry has looked more and more comfortable in the offense. They still got Shane Kelly, right? The defensive front is good. I think it's going to come down to the line of scrimmage. Line of scrimmage for both of these teams. Who's going to win that? And Judd Anderson, senior quarterback, came over from Jones County. How will he look in this game? Can they create enough pressure and make him feel uncomfortable? I mean, I'm rolling with Creekside, but I think it's going to be a intriguing game.
I think Creekside's going to win too. I think their offense is too talented. And they don't have to rely on the pass or the quarterback. You mentioned the trenches. They have that two-headed attack in the backfield, and they can put up points. I know, they lost to Mater Dei this season. Well, they've also put up 70 points on opponents, 60 points. That's a high-powered physical offense, tons of speed, and I think it's another revenge game situation, 100%. They want this one. And then how about North Oconee Benedictine?
That was coming up. Yep.
That game in 4A, I think that's a state championship level matchup. Benedictine, so tough, both sides of the football. We've seen them. I mean, they just win every single season. They're such a tough football team. But I think North Oconee, each year, they've made it a little bit further. Made the quarters the first time. Last year, they made the semis. This year, they've been rock solid. Max Wilson's a great quarterback. Defensively, I think they've always had really tall players in the secondary, guys that make it difficult to throw deep on them. And then they're just a really strong football team. They're well prepared. They got versatile athletes that excel in all different sports. I think I'm going with North Oconee, a big upset in this one.
Yeah, I think I'm a running too. I love Luke Kromenhawk. I mean, that kid is special. I seen him. One of my clubs went viral earlier this summer, but that kid's special. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than most people think, maybe a 35-31 kind of victory. But I think this is another one, like, not talked about enough, but it's going to be an exciting matchup between these two teams. Really great players, really great quarterbacks, both sides of the ball, great coaches as well. I'm just excited to see this one and find the result of this one because it's going to be a lot of fun to watch these two. My next one, too. Monroe area versus Carver Columbus, right? Monroe area and Gilmer, I kind of talked about that game being possibly high scoring, right? Monroe area being able to run the ball really, really good. I talked about Carver Columbus on my show. Craig, they got a really good team, right? They got a good quarterback, a really good running game. They got some special athletes on the outside. So, I mean, what do you think of their team as a whole and just their play this year?
I think last year the reason they lost was they lost to Oconee County in that game, and I was a little because they're going up against what I think a team that's not explosive offensively, but had the best defense. And then Whit Weeks, a guy that's literally playing reps right now for LSU at that linebacker position. I don't think they're going to face a defense like that. So just if they can keep playing complementary football, I like their defense. They got good balance offensively. I think there's a favorable matchup, but that's the reason I think they lost last year. Is just they're going up against a team that they're going to slow down the pace of the game. They're going to make it difficult, and they're going to force you to make mistakes. So I think they just got to keep doing their thing. And Carver, I think the best thing that happened to them was losing that Brookwood game, a game they should have won. It's not really consequential, but I think that showed them, hey, we can compete with a tough 7A school. We're going to be just fine.
I agree. I'm going to roll with Carver Columbus. I think they just have a better defense going into this game. I think they can make the key pivotal stops they need to, and I think they're going to have a big one. So I'm rolling with Carver Columbus to come on top.
Yep. Jimmy said they had a couple linemen out last week. They'll be back. Yep.
Interesting.
And, yeah, with Monroe area, it's a great team. I mean, they beat – was it who did they have in the – they beat Sandy Creek in the first round, right?
Yep, they did. Kind of one of the big upsets. Yep.
Yeah, it should be intriguing. I don't know who my favorite is in 3A. I think
3A
might be Calvary Day, but there's some talented teams.
And I want to give a shout out to Harris County before I conclude. Quarterback Levi Watson, as I mentioned earlier, just having a phenomenal year. 181 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 incompletions in their last game. Matai, 22 carries, 144 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And on the outside, Ron Ogletree, the junior, having a good season. 7 catches, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So I think they're special, man. In Harris County, like I said, that matchup against Jefferson, that's another one I think are really intriguing. They're going to have their hands full. We're trying to surround him. He's a 5-star for a reason. He's one of the best players in the country for a reason. So they're going to have to try to slow him down. But that's going to be an intriguing match between those two.
Yeah, and then the last one, God, every single game just so epic. But Lee County and Douglas County.
Yeah.
You know exactly what the game plan has to be.
You got to stop the run.
Yeah. That guy is an absolute man. and he didn't need to take a lot of carries last week. They had a huge blowout win over Lovejoy, so he's going to come in fresh. And we saw him at 80% dominate. So
maybe say 70.
70%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
80% is favorable. Yeah, he was hurting.
For sure.
I mean, he's just a beast. So I expect him to take 28, 30 carries, and that's going to be really tough.
Yeah. No, it is. Doug's going to have to be ready. I think they will be. And as you mentioned, they made some history. I think you said first time in quarterfinals since 1988.
1988. That's
Yeah,
correct.
so.
And I think both teams actually have great special teams. Lee County has a big time kicker. And then I was surprised looking into it. Zach Valdez, senior kicker for Douglas County. Coach White says he's the best two-way kicker in the state. He made 2 more field goals last round, hasn't missed all season. I think that's going to be key. If Douglas County can put some points on the board before the half, closing out key drives, that is going to be very valuable. And his field goal helped them win that Hughes game early on, and that's why they have the home field. That's why they're on that side of the bracket. So,
100%. And then y'all favorite segment, man, round 2 playoff standout performers. We got a bunch on this list. I think me and Craig are in agreement with the first one. Jefferson's running back / linebacker, outstanding all-state player, Sammy Brown. We think a future Georgia High School Football Hall of Famer. 355 yards, 5 total touchdowns, 15 tackles, 3 TFLs, 1 interception, and a big win against Hiram. Had rushing touchdowns of 80, 69, and 41 yards, and also a passing touchdown in that game. So, I mean, the kid's just clear cut. Comes from a great family. Dad was a coach. You could tell he just gets it. He's old school. Talk to him a little bit. He's sometimes before games he just meditates. He don't really listen to nothing to get kind of engaged in. He's just an old soul, old school kind of player, old school kind of linebacker. You just love to have around. Just no BS. Puts the work in. Squats over 500 plus pounds. Runs track. Does wrestling. Kid just does it all.
You have 583 times, and so he's just ridiculous. And in that game, you look at those offensive stats. First of all, that touchdown pass he threw, that was not a wide open pass. It was a perfect ball. He showed his strength, just flung it way out there.
Yep.
And then as good as a game he had offensively, defensively, season high 3 tackles for a loss, 15 tackles. So he has his best game defensively too. That is just invaluable to have a leader like that who, as Coach said, the hardest working guy on the team. All gas, no brakes, as you said.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to pick up as soon as the season's over. He's wrestling for his, I think, 4th straight state title, state champion in track. And the guy is just an unbelievable playmaker. I know he went up even more in the recruiter rankings, already a 5-star.
Yep.
And he was the Gatorade Athlete of the Year last year as a junior. I think he has a chance to do it once again. And, yeah, big opportunity for him.
100%. Well, I'll let you go ahead, Craig. Who's your next one?
My next one's Cam Lloyd. I am just so impressed with him all season long. And once North Gwinnett came back in that ball game, Coach Brenner said they readjusted. And who was it having another big-time performance? Cam Lloyd. What he has done to elevate his play this season, his stature as a recruit, I think it's still growing. And I just couldn't be more happy for him. I mean, he is absolutely balling out, having fun out there, and just another big-time clutch performance.
Yeah, 100%. I got to go with me. Big player I talked about. I think he only had 4 interceptions going into this game, 30-plus touchdown passes, over close to 3,000 yards. Ben Brown of Wesleyan, 356 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and rushed for a career-high 109 yards on the ground. No one talks about this kid, but I think he's having a special season with Wesleyan, him, Jamie Trimble, and all their weapons. I mean, he's just been special all year long. I haven't talked about that team a lot at Pastry Corners, but Ben Brown's been doing his thing, and his head coach came into this week saying, or the week before, that he's a superstar quarterback, and I think we're starting to see that.
Yeah, that was a big matchup last week.
Yeah.
He got the superstar nod from his coach, so that's big time. I'm going to go with Rand Ogletree, Harris County. I've seen his stats all season long. Great receiver, 7 catches, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards.
Yep.
He's been doing his thing all season long.
100%. Next one for Mars Mill. They got a big matchup this week against Carrollton, who's undefeated at 12-0. In Iganawa, the quarterback, 151 yards passing, a touchdown. He also had 67 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Been having a magnificent year for Stars Mill in that really, really tough region. We all know them, Troop, LaGrange, some really, really great teams out of there.
Yep. No, for sure. I'm going with Gavin Hall, my next one. I've talked about him a bunch, obviously, but 4 touchdowns in the big win over Gainesville, doing it all. And he's going to be a key this week against Woodward Academy.
100%. And then my next one got to be Cedar Grove. He's a reason why I think they're going to be able to be there late. I know a lot of people aren't, happy with their record and are sleeping on Cedar Grove. But it got to be running back Bo Walker, right? He's the Georgia commit 5'8", but he's just one of those guys. You get him the ball in space, he's going to do his thing, right? 191 yards, 5 touchdowns on 15 carries. He's been having a magnificent season. Go that along with their quarterback, Egan, and also Devin Carter. They got a bunch of ways they can beat you, but he's been having a special season.
Absolutely. All right. I'm looking for this one. I had the stats a second ago. Hold up. Yeah, Fitzgerald, their 37-20 win over Spencer. It's a team that's a little frustrated after that Cook loss this season. They thought at one point they'd be the region champs. Cook got their wins reinstated, but they are a hungry football team. Lost last season to Thompson in the really close game. Thompson's out now, and then they put up 401 yards of offense in their win over Spencer, and a big-time performance from that offensive line.
Nice. And my last one's got to be Warner Robins kicker Albert Medina, 42-yard game winner. Like I said, in a tough spot that is not easy to do with a game on the line. They go down the score, get all the momentum in that game where County does. He comes back down and hits the game winner, 42 yards out for Warner Robins. Shout out to you. You get my standout performer from this week. Big time performance.
Yep. And then my last one, this is credit to the defense, Irwin County, who I think is making their 12th straight quarterfinal appearance. It's insane, but they shut out Buckley County 31-0. When I saw that score on Friday, very impressive. That was a great Buckley County team and big time win for the Indians.
100%. And then, guys, we're going to move to our next segment to include high school before we get into some college football. Go and talk about Kel's quarterback, Landon Garrettson. He's been having a good year. Wanted me to take a look at his film, so I'm going to break it down here with Craig right now. So let's take a look. So next year, this is probably a quarterback you're going to end up seeing. Obviously, Bryce Clavin is moving on, going to go play baseball at Georgia. So this is the next quarterback in line. All right, let's take a look. Nice fluid motion, good deep throw right there against I don't know what that M team is.
It's Walton.
Interesting. Nice throw right there. Good job right here, moving to the right side. I love that one. Go back to that one. That was a nice, accurate throw off the run, Landon. I love that. So as you see right here, boom. So sees the pressure. He's going to get flushed right here, guys. And then obviously this is kind of plastered up. And then he's plastered up. But he's going to be able to kind of work through the defense right here. Great play. You got crossers over here. See the crossers? He's one-on-one right there. He's able to get through that traffic. Nice throw off the run. Pinpoint accurate. Love that right there. His 1-2 step. Love his feet. Another accurate throw on the sideline. Really impressive right there. Gets hit. Still a pretty good throw. Has enough arm to get it there. Love that. Nice feet. 1-2. Nice over the shoulder throw right there. Real accurate. Let his receiver in stride. See 1-2. Ooh, nice throw. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the accuracy stands out to me. He has a really good goal ball, and then he could throw off the run. I mean, it's pretty.
He's not underthrowing any of these.
No, I mean, it's accurate in the receiver's hands. He's able to avoid pressures through a threat ability. Love that. Who does that remind you of, Craig? That's excellent right there. We got to roll that again. Okay, boom. So right here, gonna get flustered, right? He gets beat inside. He's seated. Moves up, breaks the tackle, right? Receiver's still running. He does a good job getting in the sight of his QB right here. He moves to the right. So he can here or here, but he went for the big play. I love that.
Well, I saw Luke Nickel make a play like that against Roswell.
He's pointing out his receivers. Goes all the way across. Another accurate throw off the run. Woo! That was a tight window. Let's look at that one just a little more in depth. Okay, so let's see. We're going to pause it. So under duress right there. Okay, so again, this is a tight closing window, right? Got this guy coming up. You got this guy coming up too. So that's a tight window he fit that into. Love that. Like I said, I think the accuracy for me stands out. So under duress again right here. Nice throw off run. Another accurate ball. Yeah, quick step drop. Does a good job. Don't really see him telegraphing any throws either. Knows where he wants to go. Nice back shoulder fade right there. Ooh, nice move right there in the inside. Puts his shoulder down. I love it. Craig, I'll start with you and then I'll conclude. But what stands out about that tape?
It's very exciting. You look at the Kel coaching staff, the offense they run. I think he's going to have a big time season. Their region next year, they're joining forces with, I think, BT, some other great teams. I think they're going to have an exciting future. But no, he's going to put up serious numbers. I like the way he didn't underthrow any of those passes. And if he needed to extend the play, he knew how to do it. And then receivers did a good job of sitting down on the routes, and then he can speed up the pass when he wants to. He can put air under it. So I thought it was a great tape for sure.
Yeah, I think the same. I love the accuracy. I like you're leading all your receivers in stride. You're hitting pinpoint throws on the run. You don't usually see that at a high school level. That's difficult to do. You look like you're good with your progression, your reads. You're not telegraphing throws. But I definitely think the accuracy, the athleticism to be able to extend plays as well. You're a playmaker. All that stands out, and they're going to definitely need that next year. They had a pretty good playmaker this year at quarterback in Bryce Clavon. So I think that again, and the good thing is he's going to be able to grow. Payne Zachary's going to be a junior next year as well. He's going to be a junior. He's going to have Tyreek Green, and he's going to have Contarius Gibson as well. So they're going to have the talent offensively still. I think the biggest question everybody's going to ask, who's going to be the quarterback? If he's the quarterback, you got to feel pretty good. And yeah, he's not the tallest, but I definitely think he has a good game.
Yeah, and I thought he showed a lot of speed on that quarterback keeper at the end. So
yeah,
I just like the way he threw over the middle with confidence and could hit his guys in stride for sure.
100%. All right, guys, we're going to move to the second segment. Let's talk some football, college football now. I get your thoughts on this too, Jimmy. Georgia football with another rout against Tennessee. So I think the interesting thing here is that Tennessee took the early lead, 7-0, but then Georgia scores 24 unanswered and really put it on them. I just think this offense is flowing. I think Georgia I think Carson Beck just looks better and better. And I think offensively, I like what Mike Bobo is doing. I think he's got a strong command of the offense. Some of the routes that they were running to get Brock Bowers open, some of the reverses they ran in this game, I think they're just a testament of how good and how cohesively it's coming all together. And actually, a pretty cool stat, Craig. They're 7-1 in the Kirby Smart era against Tennessee.
Well, I had a feeling that Tennessee's defense was not going to be able to stop them.
Right.
I think one of the keys they said Tennessee might be able to run the ball outside, get something going offensively, but Georgia just gets better throughout the game. It's just every single week that happens. So they look pretty unbeatable right now. I'm not going to lie.
No, they do. I mean, I think they do a little bit of everything, and that was not a big running game, right? Kittleman didn't have a big game. I think he had maybe 60 yards. Right, John Evers didn't have a big game running, maybe 30 yards. So if you think about it, they really were obviously they still had the running attempts, but we're leaning more on Carson Beck, and I think he's showing that he's more than capable of doing it. He feels comfortable in that offense, and defensively after that first score, they clamped down yet again.
Yeah, they have not had to have a single game this year where it's just letting Carson go out there and sling it around. It's just been steady and accurate all season long, getting all these different guys involved. I don't think that they've shown all their cards.
Nope.
And I think it's going to be a really tough challenge to game plan against them. I think they look like the favorite 100%.
Yeah, and actually some cool stats is that Brock Bowers is second in school history in total touchdowns, and Carson Beck is actually in the running to be the most accurate passer in Georgia history as well. This past game, he had 80% completion rate. It was set by Stetson Bennett at 68.3. Right now, he has 73% completion percentage for Carson Beck. So
I wonder what his lowest percentage was this season, because I mean he's been pretty much consistent the entire time. Obviously, they didn't have as many of their weapons at certain points of the season, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, if he's at 70 to 80% with that balance offensively, and then credit to that Georgia offensive line. You shouted them out last week, but that is a legit group, and everyone talks about Georgia's defensive line, but
Yep.
they're taking a lot of pride. Coach Sorrells has been there for a long time, and he really has something special in that room.
He does. He does. And Georgia looks good, and they're gonna play a big rival this week.
Ooh,
And what you got?
the Georgia Tech game.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the one that got ready, and actually the national media is treating this game pretty big. They got it on ABC, a 7:30 kick.
Yeah, I think
So
this is the first time since, is it 2014, that it has been a primetime matchup.
Yeah.
So it'll be a great addition to all the big time games this week. I'm excited about it. I don't think this is the year for Georgia Tech, but with all the new things they're trying to get done, the excitement around this season, it's a big opportunity for them to showcase their product, go out there, challenge the number one team right now. And I think it's just the start of this game having huge implications in this new era where they're going to expand the playoff format. I mean, this is going to be a big time matchup. I think the rivalry's back this year. Tech has an opportunity to have creative play design. Haynes King, we know he's going to play his heart out. So it's a big opportunity.
And real quick, what do you think before we go more into the matchup? What do you think about their win against Syracuse?
Thought it was great. They needed it to make the bowl game. They've responded well. Anytime they've lost this season, they've looked great the next week. They don't let their defeats get them down, and I think they still have an opportunity to close this season out with a lot of momentum, play Georgia tough, get to a bowl game, celebrate the win, and it is mission accomplished this season for sure.
Yeah, I think that game they were up for most of it, 24-3 in the third. I think there's got to be able to finish games. Special teams turnovers kind of changed it a little bit. Obviously, some turnovers, some fumble, interception, so they got to be kind of better there. But Jamal Haynes gets my game ball on that one. Incredible first TD, took the pass, nothing there, rerouted the whole thing and scored the touchdown. They look really good, and Haynes King looks just got to be able to protect the football. But I do give them credit for stopping the bleeding. They went on the big. Actually, Syracuse cut this game down to 2 points in the fourth quarter, but they went on a 9-play, 5-minute drive, which was huge. Haynes King gets the rushing touchdown. So to the matchup, as you said, they're going to have to be ready, right? Like if you want to go and upset Georgia, you got to be full throttle 4 quarters, right? You cannot give them a chance. You got to play a little bit of just running the ball, right? Leaning on Jamal Haynes, right? Letting Haynes King do his thing, right? Dominic Blaylock had a touchdown in the game as well, right? They got a bunch of weapons. Malik Rutherford, Eric Singleton. They got some guys. So it's going to be key. I think if they're going to have a chance, they got to get out to a hot start. You got to get out to a hot start, build a lead early, which we know that is commonplace for Georgia. They have jumped behind in a lot of games this year. So I think if Georgia State's going to have a chance, they got to get a hot start, get it rolling, and their defense is going to have to come ready to play. They missed a lot of tackles, man. That's the reason why Syracuse was able to get back in it.
Yeah, and no offense, this just is not an ACC matchup. You watch that Syracuse game; it's a little cerebral. They're playing each other, the chess match. That's not the case. You're gonna have to be physical.
Yeah.
The spread right now, it's 23 points. I would definitely pick Georgia Tech to cover that. I think it's going to be a lot closer than that.
Yeah,
2 touchdown game, 17 max. I think it's going to be close, 100%.
I agree. So that'll be fun. ABC 7:30. Y'all check that one out. That'll be a lot of fun. But now it is to see who came out on top in our picks from last week. So I went actually 9-6. So I've been above 500 all season for my picks pretty much. So that is good. But I think, Craig, you picked Louisville, and they won. So that's 1-0. You picked Utah. They lost to Arizona. You picked Georgia. That makes you 2-1. You picked Clemson. They won. That's 3-1. You picked USC. They lost. That's 3-2. You picked Kansas. They lost 2. They 3-3. You picked Washington. That's 4-3. You picked Texas 5-3. You picked Michigan. That's 6-3. You picked Tech 7-3. You picked Wisconsin. That's 8-3. You picked Virginia Tech. We both lost that one. 8-4. You picked West Virginia. That's 9-4. You picked James Madison. That's 9-5. and then you picked Michigan State, who I think won. So I think 10-5. I think.
Go back. Sorry, guys. I ripped the page because I need to make a note last week. That was my bad. One sec. Yep, we still got that win.
Yeah, so I think Craig beat me, guys,
10
by
and-
1 game, 10-4.
No, yeah, 10. No,
So I went
yeah,
9-5.
10-4.
Yeah, so Craig got me by a game, so we were that close again. So that's kind of how it's been all season with me and him, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. So another great week for Craig, yet again. So yeah, I picked a lot of upsets too.
What happened to James Madison?
Yeah, I mean they were hot all year. I think College Game Day was there potentially too. So I thought they were going to beat App
McAfee
State.
screwed him up. Watching that nonsense. They had some dude come out to kick a field goal for like $20,000. They gave the guy like 5 yards of space, and he just like kicked it right into someone's face. And it's like you got to give people room to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
Just hooked it right into the guy's head. It's like, yeah, this is great content. So yeah, it wasn't a good week for James Madison.
No, it was not.
I don't know if they'll be going back there anytime soon. No offense.
Probably not, especially them being in the Sun Belt too. But we will see. But now it's time for Week 11 college football predictions. Got Ole Miss. For me, Mississippi State is the first one. This is actually a Thursday game. A lot of games during the weekday. I'm rolling with Ole, get back on track, and I think that offense is a little too much for Mississippi State.
Ole Miss for me, definitely.
All right, so Craig is rolling with Ole Miss as well. Iowa, Nebraska, road game for Iowa. I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes. Come out on top of that one.
Man. I'll go with Nebraska.
Ooh, okay. So Craig has Nebraska. Interesting pick there. All right. Next one, I got Missouri and Arkansas. Missouri's been having a great year. Only loss was to Georgia in that conference schedule.
Missouri.
Me as well. So we agree on that. Texas Tech versus Texas. Yeah, I think I'm going to roll with Texas too. Home game for them. It is a rivalry between these two, but Texas has been great all year. So I'm rolling with them. All right, Oregon State, Oregon.
That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Oregon.
Me as well. I think Dan Lanning and Bo Nix is having a Heisman level type of season. I think there's going to be too much at home. Oregon State's been having a good year with DJ Ugale, but that's a tough task, tall order. And with a loss, that pretty much ruins Oregon's chances of making the college football playoff. But I don't think they want to lose at home. So I'm rolling with them. Got a big one. Penn State, Michigan State. Craig, who you got in that one?
Penn State.
Yeah, we are in agreement. I'm rolling with Penn State as well. They need to have too much. All right, it's the barn burner right here. It's the big one. Noon kickoff, Ohio State, Michigan. We're probably going to defer on this one, disagree on this one.
I'm going with Michigan.
Yeah, we do. So Craig has Michigan. I am going with Ohio State. I think Michigan suffers their first loss. I like how they've been playing defensively this year. Top ranks in all college football rankings there. And I think their quarterback's coming on. And I think they got a lot of weapons to run the ball. Got Ohio State with the big win right there. Florida State, Florida.
I think I'm going to go with Florida.
Ooh. So you're not believing in that backup quarterback?
No.
I'm going to roll with Florida State. I still think they have a good overall core team, even though Jordan Travis is out for the season. I think backup quarterback just has to do just enough for them to win that game. It's not going to be easy on the road against Florida. That is a tough environment to play in that swamp. But I think Florida State comes out on top. I think they just have too talented of a team, too good of a coach to lose that.
Yeah, I'm going out on a limb with that one, but I think we're going to see some upsets. We haven't really seen the college football playoff picture get shaken up like it did last year. I think this is the week.
I think so too, and that is why I'm going with the upset in the big time rivalry game, Georgia Tech. I'm going with Tech, going out on the limb how Craig did with Florida. So
I'm going with Georgia.
All right, Craig got Georgia. So see some of them guys we disagree on. It's going to be interesting to come to top. Okay, now this is another Sun Belt one, Craig. Georgia Southern, App State coming off that big victory against James Madison. So he got that one.
I'm going with Southern. That's going to be a tough one.
App State. I think they're going to win at home. I think they're playing their best ball right now, in my opinion. Going with Tech is the worst bet to take. Appreciate the comment. Hey, it is, man. But I love parody. So I got to switch it up. Sometimes I'm wrong on my picks, but I've been over 500 all year. So I know Georgia's the better team, but sometimes you just live for upset, man. Think about how
Exactly.
crazy it would be and how much that would shake up things. I think that'd be pretty incredible. So that's how I go. But all right, Craig, it is on you now. That is my top 10. I'll let you go with
It would
your
certainly
5.
be fun. All right, let's go Clemson, South Carolina.
Ooh, another rivalry game. I don't know how I forgot that one. South Carolina's been talking a lot of smack, but I think Clemson just has the better team right now. They're playing some good ball under Dabo, and I'm buying the stock.
100%.
Yeah,
All right.
we're in agreement there.
Oh yeah, I got Clemson in that one. Let's see.
No, that is not an upset. Michigan over OSU. Come on, Philip. No way. Everybody knows Michigan's at home, the number 3 team. Come on. I don't even think what Craig, look up the spread in that game real quick.
Which one?
Michigan, Ohio State.
Michigan by 3.
Yeah, come on. They're favored too. That is not an upset. No way.
All right, Kentucky and Louisville.
I'm gonna go Louisville. I think they should win that one. Miami played them tough, but they're at home. I gotta go Louisville.
I agree with you. I got Louisville. All right, 2 more. Wake Forest and Syracuse.
Wake Forest struggling. Playing Syracuse. What's Wake Forest record real quick?
4-7 against 5-6.
Yeah, I gotta go Syracuse. They're trying to get into a bowl game.
I got Syracuse too.
Yeah.
All right. 1 more. Alabama, Auburn.
All right, you got to do one more though after that one.
We got to pick it though.
Yeah, Bama. I mean, Auburn just lost to New Mexico State. Yeah.
I agree with you there. And then let's get one more.
Yeah, one more.
Let's go UNC, NC State.
I'm gonna go UNC. I know they've been struggling lately, but I think they can come in there on the road and get a big win.
I'm gonna go with NC State.
Craig has NC State, and now Philip, no worries, man. I just know Michigan's favored in that one. And 2 top teams, but it's gonna be a good game. I hope.
But no, this is I think the first time they've been favored in like a decade or 8 years or something.
Really?
Like
Over Ohio State?
Yep.
I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay. All right. So final college segment before we go to NFL. Just top 6 teams in college football. I'll start. Mine is Georgia with the rankings coming out tonight. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State, Bama, and then I'm gonna go Washington.
Let me see. I gotta adjust my Florida State.
Tell me they're out of your top 4.
No, they. Oh man, this is tough. All right, I got Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Oregon, Alabama.
Interesting. You got Oregon pretty high. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Respect. Well, that's our top 6. The rankings come out tonight. We'll see how it goes. But that's how me and Craig rank them ourselves. Top 6. We'll do that every week up until it is official. So that's all we got. Obviously, when it's college football playoff time, we'll talk about the top matchups and break them down. But all right, let's move to the final segment to wrap up the show. Are you buying stock in the Broncos, Craig?
They did beat the Chiefs. I think they're moving in the right direction.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd say I think they're going to be on the bubble this year.
Okay.
I think they're going to push for a playoff spot. I do think that, yeah, they've been playing well.
Yeah, I think their defense has been complimenting them well. They've been playing really good. They've let go some of their veterans, right? Frank Clark, Randy Gregory, been depending on the younger guys to kind of get home. I think defensively, they've been playing some of their best ball. Justin Simmons been playing good as well. And I think, I think Denver's going to be able to be competitive kind of down the stretch and be able to kind of making things interesting. They look a lot better offensively under Sean Payton, in my opinion, and the offense is, obviously had spurts, but I think it looks a lot better than it did last year. And Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton has been coming on lately, and Cortland Sutton has had, I think, 5 straight games of a touchdown catch. So doing the right things right. Russell Wilson's not turning over the football. I think, yeah, I would say, yeah, I'm buying this stock too.
Yep. So the next games, they got Browns, Texans, Chargers, Lions, Pats, Chargers, Raiders. So I mean,
It's a tough schedule.
it is. I
Yeah.
think they can finish over 500, maybe 2 games over 500, and be in that conversation.
Yeah, that might be right over. All right, let's go to the game from last night. Eagles Chiefs. We talked about it a little bit before we got on air. Just what are your thoughts on that game? I'll start with you, Clay.
I'm really let down by just how the offense has looked all year. I think our running backs are continue to give great effort. They're doing this thing, but the receivers is just a mess. It really is. The timing's been off. You talked about all those drop passes. Kadarius just early in the season, his bad game, and then we're just seeing the trend continue. It's not just him; it's everyone now.
Yeah, I agree. As a reaction to it is that the Chiefs will be there. Obviously, I think it's going to be a little tougher for them for this year, like winning a title in the AFC, because I think just with as Craig mentioned, the receivers and them dropping the balls, 26 drops this year, most in the NFL, only scoring 6 points in the second half. I mean, that's
Most ever through 10 games.
yeah, like most ever. Like you don't see those numbers like that. And you never really think of the Chiefs as a team. Oh, well, I'm concerned about the offense, but I think that's concerning. I think their tackle plays a little concerning too. Jawan Taylor, he has to be better. He gets beat a lot. So I think they will still be there, but I think it's gonna be tough. I think the AFC is gonna be real competitive this year, right? Baltimore, Jacksonville, Miami. Can't sleep on the Browns, even though they don't have Deshaun Watson. Their defense is good, so I think it's gonna be an intriguing year, in my opinion. And then for Philly, I think Philly just been winning ugly. I think that's the key point with Philly. Philly has not played their best ball, I don't think yet. That's obviously a testament to you guys last night in your defense. But I think just this schematically they could be a little bit better. I think they put a lot on Hurts. Like he ran the ball 12 times and DeAndre Swift won it 12 times. So I think just a little more balance. Like last year he was a little banged up going to the Super Bowl. Like, he's wearing a knee brace this year, dealing with a knee injury. I think less QB runs with him, more depending on Swift and Gainwell and Rashad Penny and things like that, and Boston Scott, letting them kind of go with the offense. And then I think they just got to do a better job. I think defensively they did a good job adjusting to you guys. Last year you didn't really see that with Gannon, right? But they started bringing more pressures. It wasn't getting home. Like your line did a great job in that game, but disguising offensively, they just like they were going like you guys are doing a good job. I don't know if you had seen that part of the game, but you guys are coming downhill consistently. Like McDuffie was coming downhill.
Oh, yeah,
He was bringing it the whole game, and it was like y'all were flying sideline to sideline, and then we were running like backwards, screens. Like, no, go up the field. If you're gonna run a screen, run a tight end screen, run a halfback screen. But you guys did great. I mean, 5 sacks in that game. That's one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. So I think just schematically they got to be better with Brian Johnson. It's gonna take time. First year coordinator, that stuff takes time to kind of iron it out. As Jalen Hurts said, a work in progress. So I think that's the only thing that's going to hurt Philly. Just the offense has to be a little more consistent. Can't always depend on your defense to bail you out.
Yep. And I do think Swift had some nice runs in that game.
Yes.
We might see those teams play again. The thing that just drives me crazy, just like with some of the distractions around the Chiefs, it sounds stupid to bring up, but it's like, what good does it do to talk about wanting to like retire soon in the middle of the damn season? Like, I
You're
don't want
right.
to sound like an old school guy, but it's like, focus on the season. You can have that conversation later. No one asked. It's like,
I agree
cool,
with
you're
you.
banged up, you had surgeries. What does that have to do with this season? You aren't going to retire in the middle of it.
Right.
Don't talk about that. It's just
I
there's
agree.
no point of it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be talking about that if you a couple weeks ago when you have some big game. But
I mean, I agree with you, Craig. I think that's distracting too. And then, it's like obviously you talk about it before, but like you said, I would just keep it to myself. If that's what you're considering during the off season. But like you said, it brings a distraction. You're not totally into the game. And obviously a lot of people consider him one of the best to ever do it at the tight end spot. But I agree
it's
with you.
just so predictable because now it's like once that's out there, now say the Chiefs do get to the Super Bowl. Is this going to be his last game? It's
Yeah.
like they're telegraphing what the storyline's going to be instead of this season.
Yeah. I agree
That's
with you.
what when I heard that after the game, I'm like, we're doing this now. It's like we know you've been playing for a long time. We know you're probably picked up. You have every right to retire after the season. No one's forcing you to play 10 more years, but it's like because they're the defending Super Bowl champs. Like,
And the number one seed too.
yeah,
Yeah.
you got to worry about winning the division still. It's just why is that coming up with all these games? It just makes no sense unless you're trying to frame that future storyline.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Yep. But that's our reaction to Monday Night Football. Very fun game. Eagles come out on top. And I'm sure you weren't too fond of that drop by Marquez Valdez
No.
at the end. Yeah.
The drops are out of control.
Yeah.
Receivers just did not look elite at all. They need someone to step up.
Yeah.
I think Rashee Rice, he
I
had
agree.
a big play early on. He's fun, but
use him more.
Yeah, they've got some issues with that receiving core.
Yeah, they got to figure it out, but luckily they have some time to do that before it really starts to matter. But Craig, I want to start this one with you. Just got to bring this up. This has been thrown out in the national media compared to Andrew Luck and all the sacks he's taken. But do you think Joe Burrow is injured?
No, not at all. I think that's silly, especially when, injury prone. The guy was banged up and still played to start the season. If you're injury prone, you usually sit out games. No, if he's out there playing, how can you sit there and say he's injury prone?
I agree. I think it's a lazy narrative in my opinion. Guys played. Obviously, his first year it was unfortunate. Guy went right into his knee. What he could do the last 2 seasons, going to the Super Bowl, going to the championship game, got banged up in the Super Bowl. Yeah, sprained MCL, but battled through it. You know what I'm saying, and still played at a high level. Last year, he couldn't do nothing. It's a appendectomy injury. He wasn't hurt the rest of the year. That's like a freak kind of a thing you don't even see that often, right? This year, just how a lot he was dealing with his training camp, right? The calf, we didn't know if that was maybe Achilles. Luckily, it wasn't. Strained calf, dealing with that all year. And then obviously the last one was dealing with a little bit of a wrist injury, but David Collins on it. I don't think he's injury prone. I think what does need to happen is there needs to be better scheme. Needs to be a better schematic kind of deal with the team, and hopefully we'll see that with Burrow out. Maybe he could kind of like take that step back. I think sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, right? Because then now Burrow, and you can see how big his presence is. I heard he's going to be at all the games now going forward with the headset talking to Browning. So I think that's going to be key too, Craig, because then he can see the game from another perspective. Instead of him being there, right, constantly in it, he could see it from another perspective and maybe tell Zach, like, hey, maybe we should do this instead. I think that could be beneficial going forward. Because you know how I feel, Craig. I know I bring it up all the time. It's a regurgitated point, but I just feel like if they were more balanced, they would have such a better team offensively. And that's what I admire about the Chiefs. Last night, I ran the ball like 25, 30 times. I have the best quarterback in the NFL. And y'all was running the rock with Isaiah Pacheco. And it was allowing you guys action passes and stuff like that. That's all about them. If they do that more, lean on the running back too a little bit, run some play action, it's going to open up the offense in so many ways.
Yeah, you talked about that being a lazy narrative. It's so true. When Lamar Jackson was out last year,
said the same thing.
They were talking about him getting hurt in the future. It's like before he even is playing the next season. And it's like when you attach that to someone injured prone, we all know what it is.
Yep.
Basically just devaluing the player in the future. So Joe Burrow played with injuries early on in the season when he didn't have to. He only sits when he absolutely needs to. I think he'll be fine.
But bottom line, we'll leave it at that. And Craig, 2 more before we wrap today. What is your biggest takeaway from this week in the NFL that stood out from Week 11?
Go with the Houston Texans. Can they make the playoffs year one with CJ Stroud? That'd be really impressive. Seriously.
I think to kind of go off that point is that, like you said, in year one under DeMeco Ryans with CJ Stroud, I think they really nailed their draft in the free agency pickups, right? Got Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys. They picked up Tank Dell, right? Got Will Anderson. Defensive line's making a difference. Got Sheldon Rankins. And as you said, I think that's a big storyline. Can they make the playoffs? And we're going to talk about a big game that got actually coming up this weekend that you will enjoy as well. That actually has a lot of playoff implications. But that's just a great story. Obviously struggled a little bit in the Arizona game, but was able to kind of will them through, get a big win, and they got a big game this week. I think for me, something we have not said in years, but could this be the year that Mahomes has a road playoff game?
Ooh.
I think that's my biggest takeaway. Is this the year he finally has a road playoff game? And I think with the offensive concerns, the defense is, you can make an argument, the best part of the team currently, as currently constructed. So I think my biggest takeaway is it's possible, and I think it will happen. It's possible that Chiefs play the first road playoff game. If Baltimore keeps winning and the top of the AFC keeps up tough, I think it's an interesting storyline.
Yeah. Do you think the Dolphins would be able to outmatch them
If they play in the playoffs,
or steal home field from them?
it's tough because they have the tiebreaker. Chiefs have a tiebreaker on
Oh,
them,
that's right.
and then still got to play Buffalo again. Buffalo's starting to heat up. I don't know. It's tough. Miami has not beat a team over 500 yet.
That's true.
And Tyreek Hill's banged up. Yeah, so they could, but they got to schedule some tough games coming up that they got to play.
I
So
still think they'll get home field, but yeah, that would be interesting to see.
yes,
To see.
100%.
What do you think? Well, we talked about the Broncos a little bit, but thought the Vikings with Josh Dobbs. I mean, so still a pretty good team. So
It
I
looks
think that's
good.
a big one for Denver.
You know what I think too, Craig, and something that we have not talked about, the value of the backup quarterback in the NFL and how much that is rising, right? Because almost like, oh, well, we lost our quarterback. Well, let's throw the season. But it's like Minnesota's still competitive, right? Dobbs, I think, does a good job. One of the turnovers he was just pressured on, but he does a good, they led the whole game, the entire game, and it was efficient, and he was making good throws. And then, you see other teams like the Browns, rookie quarterback coming in, stepping up big time win as well. So I think that's a position that's getting a lot of more value going forward.
No, certainly. I mean, I watched that game. I thought Josh Dobbs looked solid, gave him a chance. But yeah, Denver's heating up.
Yep.
You mentioned the Texans; they won 3 straight. I think 4 of the last 5.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I think biggest standout still the Eagles. I think they want to get back. They're just a tough football team. You said they win ugly games, but they're just a team that wins. Like not many, probably more wins in the last couple of seasons than any team. So
yeah,
interesting. That culture of winning.
Yeah, and interesting found out before we get into our best games this week. They're one of the only 3 teams to have back-to-back 9-1 starts to start the season in football history.
Yeah, they are very dangerous at home too.
Yes, but best games this week. Let's go ahead and start with one we've been talking about, Craig. Jacksonville actually plays Houston Texans this week. Jacksonville beat them. Houston beat them 37-17 on the road in a big-time Week 3 victory. So what do you just think of that? And Jimmy has Philly and Jacksonville as the Super Bowl. So what do you think Jacksonville needs to do? They had a big game against Tennessee. Trevor Lawrence looked really good. I don't know fantasy-wise because I have both players. I have C.J. Stroud and I have Trevor Lawrence. I don't know who to start in this game. But what do you think of this matchup? What does Houston need to do at home to come out with a win? And they would actually sweep Jacksonville if they win.
Guard Calvin Ridley. Yeah, I mean, his numbers.
It's insane.
When they have this big blowout wins, he's balling out. So
yeah.
I think that'll be a key, and it's just going to be a really electric atmosphere. These are 2 teams that I think are both up and coming, young, and could be a big rivalry in the AFC to come.
Yeah, and then I think this is for divisional positioning, playoff implications. Like the loser, it makes it tighter, right? If you're Houston, you got almost a 2-game advantage now against Jacksonville. We have the same record, so and then you're a game behind. So if you're Jacksonville, you want to go up. You go 8-3, they go to 6-5. You're feeling pretty good. So it's a big game between those 2. I think the next one that's big is Packers Lions. Only reason I say that is that Detroit struggled in their game against Chicago, made the plays though at the right time, able to kind of come back, win that game, big time win for them. It's a big game, Craig, because you want to keep pace. You talk about Philly, 9-1, right? Detroit only trails them by a game. You want to keep pace with Philly, essentially that number 1 seed. Packers, though, they beat the Chargers. Obviously, they've been struggling, but they play really good at home. They're going to be on the road on this one. How does Jordan Love look in this one? Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson stepping up. I think it's a big game for both teams.
Yep. On Thanksgiving, I got Detroit in that one. I think they'll come out and look good. Yep. The other Thursday games, you got Cowboys, Commanders, 49ers, Seahawks. I think those will be intriguing matchups, but I think the Cowboys will have a good showing too.
I agree. I think the Commanders are reeling right now. Coach Rivera's seat is pretty hot. Could potentially get fired. I think they're in the tough spot right now. Washington not playing no good football. I think the one that really intrigues me is 49ers Seahawks because I don't know if this is their first time matching up the season, but just allowing the line, right? They retook after that 3-game split. Seahawks was above in that division. Now they got back on track, 2 straight wins for San Fran. This game's gonna be in Seattle. So I think if you San Fran, you got to come on top. Geno Smith is banged up. No Kenneth Walker. He's, I think, a oblique strain, so he's out. So Seahawks missing so many top players. If you're the 49ers, you guys take advantage.
Yep, Brock Purdy's been playing well the
Yeah.
last couple weeks. So it's a big opportunity. He's still a young guy that is trying to really establish himself with that franchise. I think it's a big opportunity.
Yeah.
And take that step. I got 49ers in that one, though.
Yep, I got 49ers Lions. And then who you got? Jacksonville Texans. That's a tough one.
I'm going to go with the Texans. Jacksonville is 4-0 on the road this season. I don't know. I think Houston's been with a lot of energy. I think they can win that matchup. I'm still not sold on Jacksonville yet. I know they had a big win last week.
Yep.
They've been all over the world with these games, but I think this is going to be a tough one, and there's a lot on the line for Houston. I think they're going to come out with that effort and play very motivated.
Yes, you heard that right, Jimmy. Craig is not sold on Jacksonville. Needs to see a little bit more. So we are going to find out. All right, my next one is Bills Eagles. I think this is a big game, right? Philly was their top, their NFC. I think the Bills probably one of your bigger games this year, right? You got a big win against the Jets. Can you keep it going for 2 consecutive games? New coordinator, how do they look? Can they go toe to toe with Philly on the road? And you want to kind of keep pace with the Dolphins potentially, so you can set yourself up and potentially have a home game playoff time.
Yeah, this almost feels like a game where Buffalo is going to go in there and get the win.
Really? So Craig is going Buffalo. Okay. All right. I'm going with Philly. I think Philly comes out on top. But I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo comes on because
not surprised.
They need it.
Tough run, exactly.
Yeah, they need it. They can't really take somewhere else. And the last one, Craig, Chargers or Ravens. I think this is the game for the Chargers. If they lose, they're done. They're 4-7. You're on the road, but you have to you cannot go and lose this game. And if you're Baltimore, you want to stay afloat of the AFC and go 9-3. I think you got a bye week coming up here pretty soon. So a big game for both teams. The Chargers, you want to keep pace. 4-7, your chances don't look too good. You have to win 6 straight to even be in contention. Baltimore, you want to stay top, potentially ever get that number 1 seed and have it run through the crab cake in Baltimore.
Yeah, I got Baltimore in that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Ravens too. But that's all we got, guys.
Falcons, Saints too.
What do you think?
I think the Falcons will win that one. They have to. I mean, they've got to.
Yeah, that's a must-win game. Yeah. Doesn't Tampa Bay lead the division right now?
Yep.
Yeah, so must-win game for the Falcons at home.
Bye, I think, the Falcons are going to show out.
Yeah, must-win game for them. But that's all we got, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. I know this is a longer episode, but thanks so much. Happy Thanksgiving. We don't see you guys. Appreciate the love and support, Jimmy, Philip, Jordan, and everybody that tuned in for today's show. And that's all we got. Shout out to our standout performers. And keep it locked for Friday's coverage. A full 1 hour of the pregame show, including Craig Sager, will be on PC Sports Network. Again, you can stream that on your Roku, your Fire TV. Just go type in Atlanta News First, go to special events, and you can watch it all live there. Walton Carrollton, big time game. We hope you guys enjoy it. That will be on TV, streaming on Atlanta News First app, and online. That's all we got for today. We'll see you guys soon. Happy Thanksgiving.